Monster v. Monster.
Are you ready?
I'm totally not ready.
Yeah.
Like, as
Ooh,
you said, as we were setting up, I'm completely frazzled. I'm using different devices, but we're
yeah.
here. It's great.
Yeah. It's Tuesday afternoon. We're alive. We've got our tech to work, so that's all that really matters. We're here to talk about something we've been working on the last couple months and we're very excited about, the Monster v Monster podcast. If you're all woohoo, yeah. And we're going to kind of talk about who we are, what the show is, and then we're going to do a sample show. We're going to kind of walk you through parts of it, and then we are going to actually play a little bit and let you see like what the core of it is, which is a lot of improv, a lot of storytelling, a lot of fun gameplay. So I am Jessica Mason. I write Mary Shelley's School for Monsters. I also write dark horror dystopian fiction, and I write Monster of the Week. This is my lovely co-host, and I'll let him introduce himself.
Hi, everybody. I'm Matt Harry, also an author. I wrote most relevantly for this Cryptozoology for Beginners, and I just published a dystopian detective novel called Ashland.
Which I'm so excited about. It's at my house. I'm ready to read it.
It's a weird thing to have to like, because it is about a dystopia, and I keep talking about this. I'm like, it's hopeful, but it's a weird thing to pitch. I was telling my wife that it's so much easier to pitch Monster v. Monster because it's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun stuff.
And we're going to have a lot of fun together. And that's, dystopians are very fun too, except, you have to love that. I've heard you say a couple times that's like safety place. It's cozy for you.
Exactly.
And I like to
Which is
go to the
weird.
future horrible world and go there and say, well, it's not so bad. It's not so bad. It's
Yeah.
okay. Although lately it's been a little too similar. All right. So we are going to kind of talk about what the show is. Monster v. Monster is, it's the two of us co-hosting it. We have a guest come on. We do a little bit of a talk show kind of, back and forth. And then we jump into a kind of improv. What do you call it, Matt? An improv
Encounter.
gameplay. Yeah, encounter.
That fight's the wrong, because oftentimes they team up. It's more of like an interesting encounter to see which monster kind of comes out on top, reigns supreme.
Mhm.
But I feel like, too, I want to hear you talk about, because you came to me with this idea. Like, you
Yeah.
pitched me this idea,
Well,
and it was not something we were originally working on together.
No, you're right.
How did you get the idea originally?
Well, so people have brought up a podcast to me on several occasions, and I was like, I don't have anything to really add to the podcast world. There's so many podcasts. I tried to do it. I remember I did a thing about climate. Because I'm very passionate about climate, but that got real heavy real fast. And I was just thinking when I started doing Monster of the Week, I said, you know what? I want to have fun. I want to do a show where I can bring other creatives on, network kind of, but also like play, have a good time. And I was writing about all these monsters every week, and I was like, it would be really fun to do encounters. Like I played a game of D&D for the second time, I think, and it was really intense. And I was like, a lot of people would love the concept of D&D, but light. They don't want to dive as deep into it. And then that got me thinking about pitting monsters against each other, but also not so much they don't have to always fight. Someone doesn't always have to beat someone. They can like collaborate. They can become a duo. And so then the lore here is that I did one with Stephen Duffy, who writes a Substack here, and we just played out one for fun. And it was a little overwhelming just with two people. And we had 35, 40 people came to the live, and we just had a good time doing it. And then I think you and I then tabled together maybe months and months later at LA Comic-Con.
It was LA Comic-Con,
yeah. We were talking for a long time. Then what happens when you sit at a booth together is, I know everything about Matt. I could just ruin his life right now. But then he could also ruin my life so that it would be like mutual destruction. But we got talking about this idea. And you, Matt, are a big gamer. And I wanted to do it, but I felt very overwhelmed to do it by myself. Very overwhelmed to try to do the encounter and also be the person coming as a monster every time. I don't know. And then we talked about it, and you reacted very positively to it. So I'll let you kind of take over.
I thought it was such a great idea. I mean, like you, it's like obviously podcasts have totally blown up in the last 10 years. It's like everybody has a podcast. It feels like a punchline, like, hey guys, I have a new podcast. And people are automatically like, oh God. And so I had wanted to do one for a lot of the same reasons you were talking about. I just couldn't think of an idea. And as soon as you told me about yours, I was like, that is such a genius take on it, because it is unusual. It's talking about a topic that you don't hear a lot of people talking about, but everybody knows, right? Like everybody has their favorite monster. Everybody's had that conversation of like, who would win in a fight between Dracula and Frankenstein? And so I think it's immediately gettable. but I just thought it was such a clever, just an idea for something. And I immediately was like, well, what would be really fun would be to do like a little improv encounter, like play out that encounter. Cause like I didn't come to Dungeons and Dragons very young. Like I actually found it in college. And then recently I introduced my kids to it because they had heard about it on Stranger Things, which I think for a lot of people was the first time they'd even heard about Dungeons
Yeah.
and Dragons. And for people who don't know what it is, it's like it was basically D&D was invented in the 70s, and it's kind of like live action role playing, like a tabletop game. You create characters, you tell the story, but then people roll dice to figure out whether or not what they're trying to do goes well. And like you said, it's very tough to get into because a lot of times the first session is you setting up the character and rolling dice to figure out the
Mhm.
character and backstory. And by the time you're like figure out the character, you're like, well, that took 8 hours. I haven't even started telling the story.
My whole family was laying on the ground in different places in our living room, like with our character sheets going, is this still, we're still doing this? It's
Is
still
this
happening.
fun? Are we having fun?
I think we're
Like, is
having
this the
fun.
game?
Yeah.
So I think when you kind of pitched me this idea of what you were thinking about, I was like, well, this would be really cool if you added this kind of component, but made it really easy and gettable. And then I was very lucky that you said, I think at the end of that conversation, I think you're like, I think you're hosting this podcast. And
Yeah.
I was like,
That's
oh my
pretty
God.
much
I mean,
it.
that'd be amazing. But you're like, let me go. I got to go think about it. I was like, of course, go think about it. And I think you even talked to your husband maybe about like, this is your,
He was like so upset that I wasn't trying to force him to do it. We almost got divorced over it, really. No,
oh my God,
no, no, not at all.
I'm learning new information.
No, not at all. He was very
Okay.
happy that you were interested in talking about monsters with me. But yeah. So yeah, and then it was just great because just like any partnership that I've been in, I always like when it happens kind of naturally. And it's usually comes from you both just really enjoying the idea. So then what we kind of did is we sat down. We're not going to get all into the nitty-gritty, but we figured out the format of the show, figured out how we kind of wanted to lay it out and prepare to do it. We did decide we wanted to do it every single week, at least for the first year, which I think is pretty intense. So we did decide to record a couple months before we launched it so that we could actually achieve that goal as two people who also write books and run businesses and have children and do all that fun stuff. So we're gonna I think we just hop into kind of talking about like what it's like to be a guest on the show. And then this is gonna be half walkthrough of our show, but then half actual live show because Matt and I are gonna do an encounter together. But it's not exactly the same way we do it on the show because we don't have a guest. So we're gonna both kind of act as the monsters, but also as the storytellers and things like that. I think that's what
Yeah.
we're doing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
generally is when I remember we were working out the idea. And it's like you said too, I think when you have a good idea, it feels like it just locks into place. It's like two gears kind of meshing. Because I
Mhm.
think we very quickly figured out like this is what the show should look like, this is what the format will be. But we kind of very early on realized I think 3 people is the right minimum number because you want the two monsters going head to head, but then you need a referee, right? You need
Mhm.
somebody there to kind of be like, well, that seems unfair. You can't do that. And to kind of set the stage. So yeah, that we decided because this was your idea and you write a lot about monsters, you would be like the quote unquote monster experts and you're
Take that
there
with a
every
grain of
week.
salt, everyone.
No, I'm
Yeah.
super impressed every week. You come in with like the full history and all the variations. I think you know way more monsters historically than I do. And then, so yeah, I'm kind of like the referee slash setting the scene.
Mm.
So sometimes I will play characters like NPC characters, non-player characters. Sometimes I'm just sitting back and describing like this is where we are and the 2 people are going at it. But yeah, I think that factor of having the referee and then having the guest come in every week, it makes it fun and different every week because they're bringing a different monster. They're going to have a different take on how to do stuff. And it's always unexpected.
And I think that's an important point because what we really wanted to do for our guests, if you come on in the show, is we wanted you to be able to talk about what you're doing and what you've been working on and what cool creative thing you're doing. But we also want to give you a chance to showcase your storytelling and your personality. And it's really a great opportunity to do that and let people see this other side of you that they don't see. They don't see when they come to your booth or they don't see when they read your newsletter. And so hopefully that is what we accomplish, which it feels like we're accomplishing it because we have been recording and editing them. And so, yeah, once we kind of introduce our guest, we will do a creative monster of the week. So Matt and I are going to kind of do that. And what the creative monster of the week is, it's kind of a warm up to what we're doing. It's what struggle or battle did you face during the week in your creative career or whatever career you have that you either conquered or did not conquer. So for me, since it's early in the week right now, I think my creative monster of the week is, I'm going to say scheduling. I have been a scheduling monster like to myself this last week. I accidentally scheduled 2 things to happen today that I did not want to have happen together, but it was my own fault. And it's this and the release of my digital killing stone. So I was like, I need
Congrats
to
on
get,
that, by the way.
thank you. And I have 2 calendars. I have physical calendars. I have my own calendars, but just the creative mind, I just get a lot of balls spinning. And every once in a while, I forget one thing's happening at another thing, or it's on one calendar, but it's not on the other calendar. So I think ultimately the way I conquered that was I sent Matt a text and then I said, you know what? It is what it is. It's fine. It's nothing, it's like letting it go, because once you do it, you just have to flow with it. So I did conquer it. I didn't get upset. I'm never going to fully conquer it because it's not how my mind works. I will always be battling the schedule because
It's like an
have to.
immortal vampire of scheduling. Like you can stake it, but
No,
it's going to
he
come
gets back
back.
up.
There's
Always a new head, growing more heads. It's
the
like
master vampire. Yeah, Hydra. That's a better way of thinking of it. It's like a
the Hydra
Hydra.
is the schedule that you can never defeat.
One
Great.
test and 2 more pop up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that was mine.
I mean, mine was a little similar. I've just been like deep in marketing hell for the last, really 6 months, because I had this new novel come out last week. So it was like 6 months of me trying to find different ways of talking about this upcoming book. I actually hired a publicist for it. And the first thing my publicist said was, the one thing you want to make sure you do is never ask people to buy the book. So I was like, well, I'm out of ideas then. I have
That's
0
the whole
ideas.
thing.
So the book came out last week, and then you and I were talking, and it's like, well, when do we want to launch the podcast? Because we've been working on this for 6 months, and we decided let's do it beginning of June. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to be marketing for 2 of these things. It's fine. It's fine. And then literally today I got up super early because I was teaching a class this morning. And so I sent out this email telling people about the podcast, doing the trailer, trying to get people to come to the Substack. And then the second I posted it, this other interview for the book that I did, that I recorded for another podcast came out. So I literally had 2 podcast related things
Yeah.
drop at the same time, which is super confusing. I didn't even know what to do about it. I was like, well, there we go.
It's a good problem to have, but also when it happens, you're like, so often, and I think everyone on Substack knows this because we're all writing newsletters, we're all writing. Like so often you have a plan, but you're also like, what am I going to say to people today? Like, I want to say something meaningful. I want to share something meaningful. I don't want to just send them an email about nothing. So when 2 things happen at once, it's annoying because you do want to spread it out so like people can actually digest it, not just get overwhelmed by it. So I feel you. So we both kind of got a little beat up by our monsters this week, but we're surviving. We're still here.
I feel like my marketing is like mine. If mine was a monster, it would be like a Medusa Gorgon, because I think of marketing and I turn to stone. I'm
Yeah,
like,
you stone
I have no
yourself.
ideas. What do I say? I don't want to talk about myself. So
Yeah.
I'm just like, I want to come to crawl away and hide.
That's for sure. Well, and then that's our creative monster of the week. And then after we do that in the show, everyone, if we had a guest here, we would ask 2 or 3, 4 questions about things that they are working on, things we think are cool from their bio. And you get to like dive in with them for a short little bit. Once we think we've talked enough about a person, we will say, is it time for the monsters? And it is always time for the monsters. And we will jump into the encounter. And usually we let the guest go first. And another fun thing about this podcast is only Matt knows the 2 monsters before the show. And this part of the thing is very much, I will give a shout out to My Favorite Murder, because I used to watch that all the time. And I really loved how those 2 ladies would come together and surprise each other with a murder. And then they would describe the murder to the other one, and then they would both talk about it. So I really like the idea of the guests not knowing who the other person is going to be to get into that. And so that made it a lot easier with the third person and like having 2 hosts so we can do that. So usually I won't know who the other person's monster is.
So we should say that we do a system that we kind of developed for the show. Because like you said, we wanted to do a simplified system. And we wanted to be able to give stats to the monsters, but we wanted to go quick and fast. So we developed this system called Mind, Might, and Magic. And it's like, so the guests will introduce their monster. They'll talk about why they like it, what their version of it is, because there's a lot of versions. And then I will go through and kind of assign some stats just as a way to kind of get through quickly. And so the mind is like a creature's, intellect, overall mental health, wisdom. Might is the creature's strength, hardiness, constitution, and then magic is any kind of supernatural abilities or prowess they might have. And we do all those scores out of a 30. So like a 30 out of Almighty God would be a 30 out of 30 across the board, and like an amoeba, bacterium would be like a 0 out of 30 across the board. And we tend to say most humans, like a really great human being at the top of their pinnacle of strength or intellect would be like a 12. And so that's a fun thing we do first. And then we assign those stats. And then the person comes in with like special moves that they can use during the encounter. It's like a couple of regular attacks that they can use as much as they want, and then a special attack they can do one time that we described. And Jesse, you do this great thing that I love, where I hope more people will start doing once they start seeing these, is you like really come up with a cool trademarked kind of a name for it that you've developed, and it's like got an alliteration thing. So it's very fun.
I know. Hopefully I did that today. So I'm not like letting anyone.
I didn't know.
You're doing it. You're doing it. I'll do it my way. We decided for our 0 episode, we were going to do our logo creatures. So on our logo, Monster v Monster, which Juliane Crump, Matt's lovely wife, designed, we have Medusa on one side and we have a kaiju on the other side. And I, of course, am going to be Medusa, even though I love kaijus too, because she is my absolute favorite monster. I think she's a lot of women's absolute favorite monster. You guys can't see, but I have the female gaze Medusa shirt on today.
That's great.
I do feel like women really need Medusa, because Medusa is very much the epitome of that rage of the being wronged as a woman, being othered as a woman, being like put in a different corner, punished for men's behavior. And if anyone knows me with my monster of the week, that is kind of, I do kind of dig into the female monster done wrong kind of thing.
For comics too, right? Like Medusa's the character in comics.
Yeah, she is. And so and I rewrote her, and I'm going to get into that for sure, because for the Medusa today, now I think most people do know who Medusa is, but I am going to give a very brief overview. So the story of Medusa is that she gets assaulted by Poseidon in a temple. And because it was in the temple that represented, I think it was the Temple of Minerva, it represented chastity, Athena punishes Medusa and turns her into the Gorgon, gives her the snakes for hair, the stare that will turn anyone to stone that she looks at, makes her hideous. And I mean, obviously men wrote this story because and so, that's the mythology. And then she, ends up going and isolating. And then she shows up later in Perseus's hero story.
He chops off her head, right?
He chops off her head. Yeah. And
that's the only way you can defeat the Kraken, is like, not even, he could have teamed up.
It's not the Kraken, because everyone, but that's fair.
The movie, it's the Kraken in the movie, right?
It's the Cetus, and the Kraken's from, no, I always, because when I was writing, I was like, oh, we all say the Kraken, obviously, because in the old movie, it's a Poseidon monster, his baby. Right. And with Medusa, she's been punished wrongly, and then she becomes part of this hero story where her head gets cut off by Perseus. He has to bring it to defeat, the Kraken or Cetus. And for me, I was like, that's really lame. Like, that's not how Medusa's, and I think many people have rewritten Medusa's story. Like, there's so many books out there. But for me, I haven't revealed my rewrite yet in Mary Shelley's School for Monsters, but I do have a main character who is Medusa, the real Medusa, who is not dead, and is immortal now. And for me, I have a whole different version of what actually happened between Perseus and Medusa. And it's more of a team up, a great deceptive, like magic trick they play on the gods, which I haven't shared yet totally.
I mean, that's what it always should have been, right? It's crazy that why didn't Perseus just try to talk to her and say, hey, you've got this power, come with me, and then you could still survive.
And we can really upset Poseidon together. It's going to be great. It's like, so it's a whole thing. So in this version, so yes, in Mary Shelley's School for Monsters, I make her alive, and there's a whole backstory to it. But for our creature today, that's the same thing. She has not been beheaded. She still has all of her powers. She does have immortality now, and she's cruising around Earth, kind of wreaking havoc on men who victimize women. So she's very, roaming the manosphere, choosing her victims.
Looks maxing dudes.
Yes.
You want to look like that forever in stone?
Yeah. Well, so she definitely is living her best life, kind of away from it all.
And then, just so I know, is that your Medusa human sized? Is she bigger than that?
She is human sized. but she has some powers that I will reveal that do allow her to get bigger.
Okay. Basically a
Yeah,
demigod.
yeah,
So
a little
she
bit.
should be able
Yeah,
to do some stuff. All right, cool. So yeah, the other half of the logo, as you said, we always talked about early on was like a Godzilla type creature, what is kind of now known as a kaiju. And it's funny, no one has brought in a giant monster yet. But if I was going on a podcast called Monster v Monster, I'd immediately be like, well, I'm going to pick the biggest one there is, which is
of
like
course.
Godzilla. And just a little bit of history. The movie Godzilla was in the 1950s, kind of post World War II. And it's weird to watch now because it's very much a movie. You think of it as just like a monster movie, but it was very much thematically about like, I think the shame that a lot of Japanese people felt post World War II
Yeah.
of like losing this war, of signing up for this war that caused so much pain and suffering. And of course, the atom bombs that destroyed the 2 atom bombs dropped by the United States. So that's what Godzilla originally is, which people forget. It's like it was a lizard that was irradiated by all the atomic bombs dropped in the Pacific during World War II, and it grows gigantic, and it's almost now like coming back in a Greek myth way to like punish the Japanese people. And it's this giant force of nature. How tall Godzilla generally was really varies from movie to movie. But there was a great kind of reboot movie that came out just a couple years ago called Godzilla -1. That's excellent. I recommend everybody. But yeah, I thought it'd be really fun to just do like a big lizardy kaiju. The one in our logo, for trademark reasons, is not exactly a Godzilla. He's purple. He's got some fur. But I think it's similar to Godzilla. So it's a big, I'm going to say like, 30 meter, 35 meters. So like a 60, 70-foot kind of walking lizard that lives in the ocean. And very powerful. I would not say immortal, probably long-lived because of the radiation factor, but definitely could be injured and taken out. And it's one that it's funny, like if someone asked me, do you love Godzilla? I'd be like, yeah, Godzilla's all right, but I've seen so much Godzilla stuff. So clearly I like Godzilla. Like I'm really up on the lore of Godzilla and King Kong and all that stuff.
For sure.
All right,
Okay.
cool.
So
So
we're
those are our
gonna
two monsters.
got the
Generally,
Gorgon.
Gorgon and versus Godzilla or non-trademark Godzilla. And then generally once we do that, right, we will kind of do the assigning of stats and moves
Mhm.
discussion. So again, the 3 categories were mind, might, and magic. I mean, I think because it's you and me versus each other, I think you could pick your stats and we can just kind of debate with each other a
Okay,
little bit.
that's fair.
Do you want to go first?
Yeah, I mean, I think that Medusa is cunning. I do think she's smart. I don't think she's as smart as maybe the smartest human, which is a 12, right?
Right.
Usually we kind
Yeah.
of say that. But I think as far as creatures go, she's got some cunning. So we'll give her an 11. How's an 11 sound?
Sure.
Yeah.
Again, if she's immortal, she's lived a long time.
Yeah. I think
Kinda
she's
like-
pretty smart. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think she's like Merlin smart or anything like that, but she's
Yeah.
intelligent. I do think she's very strong and, so we've got the strength goes up to 30, right? That's
Yeah.
so I think she's probably like um a 17. What do you think? She's pretty strong, but what's a kaiju level strength? Like we're talking about Godzilla, we're in
It's gonna be
she's
big.
not a god. Her
Mhm.
strength comes more from her magic. Yeah, so I think I'll give her a 17. I think her tail is very strong. I think she can do some brutal hits, but yeah, I think it's her magic is her top strength. And so I probably will give her a 22 on magic. I mean, a stone stare is pretty intense. She's got magic blood that can heal you or kill you. It can also create creatures, which I find very exciting. So if Medusa's blood, once her head was cut off, had created monsters as they flew over deserts,
Yeah.
as her blood dropped. And then once she was killed, Pegasus came out and another giant came out with a big golden sword. And so I think her magic's pretty strong. So I think a 22 sounds good for magic.
Okay. And then what about life points? So life points we also assign out of 30. And even if a creature's immortal, it's kind of just a number we give to show how much damage can they take before they need to go recuperate.
Recoup, yeah.
Three,
I'll go like
2 or 3.
20. What? 2. I'm
I was kidding.
just a little worm. I'm just a worm you can step on. 20. I think I'm strong. I think I'm 20. I think it's hard to kill me. Yeah,
I feel
anytime
like the stone factor probably is something as part of your body part. You can turn people to stone, but also it's like you've probably got some stony aspects to you, maybe, right?
and I think it's just I'm not very easy to get to. I think you can hurt me, but like half my body I think is covered in like scales and is strong and like snake-like. I think you can get me, but I think I'm 20. I feel like I'm a 20. I feel like
Okay.
that's pretty fair. Yeah.
All right. So I'm just looking at these scores and see if I want to push back against anything. I mean, 17 might.
Well, why don't we see what is your might going to be?
Well, I was going to say, so first I'll say my mind. I feel very good about this. Godzilla, kaiju is a giant lizard. It's a 5.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair.
Like at the level of like a smart dog, like I don't see, I mean, even in the movies, Godzilla's not solving problems. Godzilla is just pissy all the time, and it's like maybe it'll
And he
like,
has a good,
yeah,
very good
yeah.
intuition, knows where the other monsters are when they need to.
But half the time you try
Yeah.
and get Godzilla to do something, Godzilla does the other thing. It's like, come this
True.
way, and Godzilla's like, I'm going to go this way. And, so I was going to go 5 with mine. I do think the might is pretty strong. I mean, this is Godzilla. I was going to go 25
Okay.
for that because I think it's huge. It
Mhm.
can take a lot
Yeah.
of damage. It's
I mean,
very
there's not much
strong.
bigger. It's one of the, and he's not a god level, but yeah. Okay.
Right. And then magic, I was going to say maybe like an 18 because they does have magical attacks kind of thing that are powerful, like with the breath.
That's more, and that's like that's the radiation. That's the
Yeah, like the radiation
aura.
breath. It's almost like a
Yeah.
nuclear blast that a lot can stand up to it. And then there's also the whole debate of like, how does Godzilla get around in the ocean?
Yeah.
There's some pictures of Godzilla like growing its legs really long, like Godzilla has really long legs.
Yeah.
So I actually thought that would be kind of funny to give that as like an ability that like Godzilla could suddenly grow its legs really long enough if it has to walk across the ocean.
Yeah. Like,
Mr.
for sure.
Fantastic.
For sure. Okay. All right. I will give you the 17 magic, with a little bit of a look.
Okay.
I mean, I do think he has I mean, obviously has an ability to pull on his natural surroundings. So he has something, I mean, what is magic but pulling from the ground, pulling force from the ground and using it in the
Also,
air?
the radiation of it
Yes,
has done
yes.
something to his cells, like it can mutate and there's something going
All right,
on. I just thought that'd be a funny.
we're gonna let him have the magic. All right, because we don't have a referee, we're just gonna we'll have our score.
It's
We're
going to be
just gonna, yeah, we're just gonna do it.
mess.
So it's a little
And
different
then
on
my
the
life
chat
points, I
page.
was saying 22 for Godzilla on the life points.
Say for my life points because
You
I
said
shouldn't.
20.
Okay, that seems right. I mean, I don't know. We'll see who's harder to kill in this situation. Like, I
Just going
hope
to
we're
step
not.
on you.
Hopefully, we're going to team up. Hopefully, we're not going to kill each other. But there's no guarantees because things get wild and out of our control very quickly.
So we should say generally we do if people have a score in a category over 20, sometimes if it's like the high teens, low 20s, they get like a plus to any rolls they're going to do. We do rolls to do checks. So we'll just kind of keep that in mind too. I think for your magic and for my strength, we'll have pluses.
Okay. All
All
right.
right. So we've set them up. Then we talk about our moves, our special attacks. You want to
Yes.
go? What's Medusa's attacks?
Well, her first special attack is, and I think I could have done a little better with the name here, but I'm gonna call it just simple snake bite.
I set you up, unfortunately. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
no,
I was
that's
like,
okay.
Jesse has the best names ever.
Sometimes I do. Sometimes we'll see. We'll see. But this one is called the snake bite. Simple. So when I use this bite, my snakes will obviously all lunge out to bite my opponent. Now, for this one, the snakes, if I roll really well, can grow quite large to reach
Mm.
the opponent since I'm dealing with a very big opponent.
Stretchy snakes, like
Yeah, they're
gum
stretchy,
snakes.
and so it just depends on how strong my roll is and how big the snakes become. So they
cool.
could be little tiny little guys, like all nicely in a ponytail, or they are wild and very big.
Can I
That's
ask a
called
side question about the snakes?
yes.
I've always wondered this. Are they the same type of snake, or do you have like different snakes, like coral snake, rattlesnake?
It's very interesting. I have always seen them as the same type of snake, but I think probably depending on the writer or the person who is doing it, they could be multiple kinds of snakes. For me, I've always seen them as uniform, but that's an interesting question.
My friend Josh Pruitt, who was a guest on the show,
Yeah.
he just did a middle grade book where there's a Medusa in it called Euro and the Argonauts. And his Medusa has giant like anacondas.
Oh my
like
god.
multiple huge
She's
thick
just her head's on the
anacondas.
ground.
Yeah, yeah. So it's like they're these giant, like thick, ropey.
Oh
Which
my
I thought was
God.
really clever. I've never seen that interpretation of it.
That's like an albatross. It's like an additional problem you have to solve every day you get
Right,
up.
how do I
You're
get
like,
snakes
okay, not
around?
only am I this monster, I have to figure out how to move with all these anacondas on my head. That's insane. That's funny. So the snake bite, not the I don't have anaconda snakes, unfortunately. Although maybe if I roll a 6, who knows, right? My other one is the stone cold stare. And the stone cold stare is, I mean, basically it's what it is. You have to have it with Medusa. It is my trademark, notorious, infamous stare. If it is directed at you, whether you are a beast, man, woman, child, you are going to be possibly turned to stone.
This is the OG millennial stare, it feels
Yeah,
like.
this is the OG millennial stare. Exactly. Totally that. So if it's really not that strong at its weakest, it's gonna like do what the millennial OG stare does, make you feel, embarrassed, upset, and maybe like you'll run away feeling weak and foolish. But at its height, it's gonna completely stone you and you'll be, stuck.
That's just a regular you could do
That's
that
a
every
regular
round.
attack. I did make it so that it had a range. Like, it didn't
Okay,
so in this story and
fair.
in this thing, it doesn't always stone you, but it can,
Okay,
like if you get a lower roll, it could petrify you for a moment, and you can get out of it, especially because 'cause we're not just dealing with humans, these are
right.
supernatural beings that I'm fighting, so I think they get it's a little easier for them to break out of the stone stare than a human
Yeah,
being.
okay, alright.
Like, a human being's just dead if they look me in the eye, but a kaiju, like, can probably get out of it if push comes to shove.
It's my little
Um,
pinky toe might be turned to stone.
well, originally the stone stare was gonna be the strongest one, but I thought of a different one. And this one is I called it bloodletting. And in this one, if I so feel like it, I can cut myself and I can bleed. And when the blood falls to the ground, a giant supernatural being is going to come out of it.
Come on.
And it's going to be like Ghostbusters. It is what you're afraid of. And so you will then be fighting your worst fear, and hopefully it's not the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. And since there isn't a referee storyteller in this one, I will get to determine what it is
Whoa!
based on the role. Based on the role.
Oh my god,
You better be ready,
that's
dude. So
crazy.
those are mine. I'm very excited about bloodletting, and I bloodletting is very ties right into her,
Yeah.
powers.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
because she.
Great idea.
Yep. So
Oh my
that's
god. Well, I'm gonna change all my
you
abilities. I
better
thought we
change
were
it, and
having
you can.
fun.
That's the beauty of being the second person. I've changed them before.
Alright, so I don't have great names, but, I mean, I think the general thing you wanna do, one regular attack would definitely be like, the punch or the tail whip.
Mhm.
One of those depending on where I'm at and what the position is, this kaiju's just gonna, like, step on something, swing the tail, knock into something, and just do, like, brutal damage. If anyone's ever seen the great short film Bambi versus Godzilla, you can figure out how that ends. And then for the second one, I'll call it these claws are made for walking. I could like stretch my legs out really high and like do a can kick of something and
Oh,
like kick
nice.
somebody.
Mm,
And depending on how well I roll, that's how much taller I can become and how strong the kick is. And then I think the special attack, I think you got to do the breath weapon. So it's like halitosis is the name of the
ugh.
special attack, where once I get really angry, the spikes on my back start to glow like a little timer, and then I spray out this radioactive spray that can, I mean, blow up buildings, annihilate people with the strength of a nuclear weapon. So that's the special attack. I
Oh,
can do that one time.
you were worried about my special attack. Okay, so like he just has a mouthful of radiation, mutual like total destruction that comes out of his mouth. It'll be
Had a
fine.
bunch of chilies and garlic the night
Yep.
before and is ready to boogie. All right, so I think that sounds all good, right? We got our
Yeah, I
special
think so.
attacks.
Yeah, we're ready
So
to go.
now it's actually time to pit monster v monster. So like we always say, we kind of set the scene. We generally tend to do about like 5 rounds. Like we do kind of an intro round that's just setting the scene. We introduce the conflict. We have like 3 kind of back and forths. Sometimes we'll take it a little extra if like it's doesn't feel like it's quite resolved or it's still in the process. But generally we trade back and forth attacks and we roll a 6-sided die to see how the attacks go, which to me is always the fun part because you come in with a whole plan and then the dice really decide what is going to happen. And we've had some great stuff, like really unexpected stuff happen because of crazy dice rolls. And then we kind of wrap it up and we decide like who won the encounter or is it a tie? So anything you want to say before we jump into it, Jesse? Anything else you want to add?
No, I think the main difference in listening today versus the show is maybe we won't have as many NPC characters because Matt will be busy being a kaiju. But other than that,
Maybe
no, but
I like to
maybe
do voices and
Matt gets to prepare just a little bit more than I mean. I get to prepare my monster, but I am always just like, where are we going to be? What is the other monster like? So it is very much more of a like it's fun now.
it's like you're
Yeah, it's a
jumping
story.
into
Yeah.
an
Jumping
improv
into a
story,
world.
which
Right.
is
I
cool.
think we should just do it. Let's jump
Right.
into the world.
So we did know we were kind of working with today because we knew we were going to do it on the logo. I mean, the immediate question is like, how do you put Medusa and a kaiju that lives in the ocean together, I kind of pitched you an idea that I thought would be fun, which is we're in the Mediterranean Sea. It's high summer, beautiful blue water, the sun is out. And as we open up, it's like mid-afternoon, we see this like really nice yacht kind of come into, it's like chugging into frame. And as we move closer on it, we see it's like a really one of those nice, sleek kind of billionaire yachts. And at the helm of this yacht with a steering wheel is your character, Jesse, Medusa. You're, living your best
Got my shades
yacht rock
on.
lifestyle. Okay, I was going to ask, do you have shades on?
Yeah, I try to be respectful most of the time. I
Okay,
got some like Cyclops ones that, protect people.
cool.
Yeah.
And I think around the deck, around you, there's several people that are like stone statues,
As
like
it
in
should be. Yes.
mid, like, there's a guy like holding a gun who's stone. There's like a guy who looks like a famous billionaire who's like holding out his hands, like, please don't hurt me. Anything else you want to introduce us? Or like, how have you gotten in this position?
Well, okay. So I have been doing this for centuries at this point, but I like to live the good life. And there's a lot of rotten men who also like to live the good life. And I usually just search them out and, do my thing. We hang, get invited to the yacht party, or I just show up and sneak on the yacht. This particular time, I made a deal with some orcas and they brought me out to the yacht. And,
They're
we
like, we're
shook
going
it
to
up.
hit up this yacht
Yep,
in the area. We're
we
going to
hit up
knock
the
it
yacht a
off.
little bit. We gave them quite a scare. I got on deck, and it's a bunch of tech bros. They were doing some podcasting, which I didn't care for, which was very degrading to my gender. And so I
Yeah.
took my glasses off and I took over the yacht. I commandeered the whole thing, and this is kind of how I do it. So I'll be on this yacht for a couple months. I've been on for about 2 weeks now. Just
Okay.
having a good old
Did
time.
you keep any of the humans? What about the crew working below decks? Like, did you keep any of them, or is everybody stone?
No, I kept the crew. The crew was cool. There was one guy. He's off. I let the orcas have that guy. I didn't
So,
stone him.
how many of the crew do you think you kept?
I kept 4.
Like, are you a good boss or are you a scary
I'm
boss?
a good boss. They're having a great time. I'm not
Okay.
stoning them. I mean, I don't think they might be a little afraid of me, but for the most part, we're all hanging. I don't make them, they just work a little bit. I'm not messy. I'm
Okay.
not
Do
demanding.
they call you Medusa? Are you Captain Medusa, or do you go by something else?
They just call me captain.
All right. So it's like the opposite of when someone says, "Hey, call me by my first name." You're like, "No, call me Captain."
Call me captain.
Please.
Like,
Okay.
let's keep it respectful.
All right. So as you're tuning along in the Mediterranean here, you're at the helm, you're steering. One of these crew people, a young woman named Persephone, comes running up. She's got the little, the kind of the sailor crew outfit with like
Mhm.
the shirt and the anchor on the back and the little hat. She's kind of panting, Captain, we have an issue. The radar is detecting a giant mass off the starboard bow, and it's approaching very fast. What do you want to do?
Well, do we know what it is? We don't know
It's
what it
just a giant. I've never seen anything like it. It's a giant, some kind of mass, but it's moving. It can't be a submarine. It's moving far too fast for a submarine. It's not on any of the registered lists. What should we do?
I wanna go see what it is because I haven't seen a sea creature. I haven't seen a sea monster in a long time.
What? I would not recommend that, ma'am, Captain. Sorry, Captain. I mean, you're the captain, but it's moving towards us. I think we need to go away.
No, I think we should go full force toward it. The orcas are still hanging out. Let's just see what happens.
All right, I'm going to roll a
I have to
little
roll for that?
die. I think you should roll as well. So I just rolled for that character's mental state to see how convincing you are. But I think why don't you roll a 6-sided die to see if you're
To see if I
convincing.
convince her to go full steam ahead.
Yeah.
6.
Dang, all right. She's won over. She's like, all right, very, very good, Captain. I will go inform the others. I think they're down in the kitchen. A very good choice. Very, very respectful of your decision. So they go down to the decks below to kind of tell the other people. So she's giving you the bearing. And as you turn towards it, you start to see this shape appearing in the water. And I would say about 40, 50 meters ahead of you, straight dead ahead, this head rises up out of the ocean. And this head is easily the size of a minivan just by itself. It's purple. It's a lizard, but it's got some kind of scaly fur, almost a combination of like, a little bit of a wolf with like a lizard. And it's got these glowing magenta eyes that are kind of lit from within. And it sees you and it immediately goes in that, kind of Godzilla bellow and it dives under the water and is now, and you see the tail spiraling right towards you. You're going to have a chance to react here. I think it's very close. It's quickly closing the distance between you and the boat.
Well, I might want to we'll go off to the right a little bit. I'll make way. I'll
Okay.
make way for this thing.
And I don't know if you need to do a roll for that. I think you just like turn the wheel.
Yeah, I'm just
Maybe, you know what though?
yeah.
Let's
See
do a roll.
how
Guys,
bad the waves are. See how bad the waves are. Okay.
exactly. How choppy is it? You know, do you slip
How
on the
bad
deck?
was this decision it was to go straight head on? 6. I'm queen of the
Great.
sea right now. Queen of the sea.
You're a captain of the seas.
Poseidon and I usually don't get along, but it's working out today.
I feel like you even like lick your thumb. Yeah, that's totally true. Poseidon's got it out for you. Yeah, but you turn away, and then my kaiju rolled a 1. So as you turn away, the kaiju is going to leap up, but it's going to bop itself like in the eye with like, you know how like the wave sometimes hits you in the wrong position? It's going to get smacked by the wave. And so one of the kaiju's eyes is going to be blind for like the next thing it wants to do. It's going to be at a disadvantage. So you've turned away. Have you increased the throttle or have you slowed down? Are you speeding up or slowing down?
Well, now I'm kind of like I've gone around him and I'm kind of turning a little bit to
Okay.
come back behind to see what's going on.
All right.
So slow down. I did slow down a little bit.
The kaiju's kind of laying in the water, like, you know, like how a dog, sometimes if a dog like gets
Trying to
stung
get
in
it
the
out,
nose
trying
by
to get
a
the water
bee,
out of his eye.
it's like, so you're just observing. You could have a free chance to try and do something here, I think.
I think I'm gonna get a little closer because he hasn't really attacked me yet. So I'm gonna bring the boat a little closer. Do I need to roll to get closer to
Yeah, I
see?
think it's like a sailing skill thing, but
Okay.
also there is a side boat. This is one of those giant yachts that has a
Okay.
smaller yacht that you like a speedboat you could lower.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna go down. I'm a very adventurous at this point. So like
Yeah.
I'm gonna go down and I'm gonna get a closer look.
All right, so you get in the boat, and one of the Persephone is like peeking out. She's like, "Captain, are you sure you want to do that?" And you can kind of lower it with a winch. So yeah, all right. I guess I'll. Do I have the comm?
Yes, you're in charge
Okay,
now.
very good,
I'll be
Captain.
back.
So even though she's obeying, you know, she very implicitly trusts you. She goes up and she takes the wheel. You lower down. You got this little speedboat. It's kind of got an outboard motor that you can go over and look at this giant lizard that's flopping around the ocean. So you want to just kind of go straight at it? You're going to circle? What are you thinking?
I'm gonna circle. Well, I want to get closer to the head a little bit, but I want to
Okay.
see how big. I want to get an idea of how big it is. So I'm gonna do a perimeter, like circle around to size up the
So I want you to roll a die to see
Yeah.
your kind of seafaring skills. And I just rolled a
4.
pretty good. I just rolled a die for Poseidon, and
That's
a
rude.
rogue wave kind of comes and doesn't do it's pretty bad. It's a pretty big wave suddenly shows up, but you're able to kind of steer into it. So it does knock you out of the boat because Poseidon rolled a 6. And so you're kind of in the water, but you're not terrible. Your boat can be like turned up. You could climb back in the boat if you want. But you're in between. There's the boat is here upside down, and then the kaiju's over here, and you're now kind of floating in the middle. And so it's now the kaiju's turn again. It finally gets the water out of its eye, and it sees you, and it's going to sort of try to do a chomp attack on you. And
Make it a choice.
he did get a 3 on that roll, so he's gonna come up and I think take a chomp, but again, you're pretty good in the water, so it's not a huge attack, but I think he is going to take a little chunk out of your upper shoulder.
Okay.
And
Well,
that's right in
luckily,
front of you. It's a big chunk. So you're going to take 2 damage, I think, from that.
now he bit. What side did he bite?
That's a good question. I think your left side.
Okay. Well, that's going to be the side that is poisonous. So that's just something to keep in mind. The right side's the healing side. I don't
right.
have those sides right.
That's classic, right? That, you know, only half the side of a
Half the
body
side
of
is
any kind of
poison.
poisonous
You chose
animal.
wrong. You chose poorly.
Cheating. This is why we need a referee.
This is why we need referee. But I mean, you'll probably be all right. You'll probably be all right.
I don't think you probably taste good. Would you
No, I
say?
don't taste good. But part of my lore is that sometimes my blood can be healing and sometimes it can be poisonous.
There you go.
But
I would just say it's all poisonous then. I wouldn't say
That's
this
true.
half and half stuff.
I
Come
guess
on.
I should roll to decide which way, if you got the poison blood or you got the.
Well, that's actually on me. So I'm going to roll against my might and I get a +1, which is only a 2. So I do,
You got the
and
poison.
I am going to take some poison damage.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take 1 poison damage and I'm going to keep taking damage from the poison. I got some of your blood, your gross blood in my giant gullet.
Let that be a lesson. I have gross
And
blood.
the blood has been drawn.
It has. So
So
now I'm upset. Okay. So I'm gonna go for a snake attack here, the snake bite. I'm gonna bite you back. I don't want to full on stone you yet. So let me
you like to toy with your prey.
yeah. 5. So I got a 5.
Oh, no. So you can describe what this is, but I think you're gonna be able to stretch out. I'm right in front of
Yeah.
you. I think
Yeah.
you're gonna be able to stretch out your snakes and bite my face.
Yeah, I think my snokes, guys, my snakes start to like shoot their heads out, and I probably have about 12. Give myself 12, and they're like 6 of them are growing quite large, so they're getting very big, and they're coming right toward your face. The biggest one is going right for that eye that's been bothering you,
Oh,
and I don't know if I have to roll for all the snakes, but I definitely am gonna hit the eye because I got a 5.
yeah.
So,
I think what I would do is if you have 12 snakes and you got a 5, I think most of those snakes are going to be attacking and biting
yeah,
and
little
doing damage. I think what I would do is maybe like a general roll because it's interesting because those snakes all have little brains, but
yeah,
you have the big brains controlling them.
yeah,
I would just roll another one to see like how much damage I'm going to take.
4.
I think I'm taking a lot of damage. I mean, I would say like 10 snakes biting Godzilla's face, one of them in the eye, and they're poisonous, and you had a lot of them doing it. I think that's like 8 damage, 10 damage.
Jeez. You should not bit me. We could have been the best team ever.
This is a problem
Down.
now. So Godzilla is going to be at a hindrance
Yeah.
this next round because one of its eyes is like swelling up. There's like poison pus dripping out of the face. I think Godzilla is pissed. I
Mhm.
think we're going breath attack weapon.
What? All
Uh,
right.
I mean, he's pissed.
All right. Going for the
Uh,
that's early on. No, it's not.
so he did it. He got a 3. So I
Mhm,
think he's not gonna fully hit you, but he's gonna like blast like one of these kind of things.
mhm.
I think you're able to duck down. You're gonna take some residual damage from like the boiling water. The boat is incinerated. Like the little boat that you were in is incinerated.
You killed my crew.
No, the little boat that you were in.
Oh, the little boat.
I
Okay.
I
Okay.
do think it hits the yacht in the distance, and,
Okay.
like, the back end of the yacht is blown off. And so it's now starting to sink a little bit, and you can hear, like, the alarm bell ringing. He didn't get the whole boat. The water around you is, like, boiling and irradiated, so I think you're gonna take 3 damage from that, but I think you are able to, because it wasn't a super strong or focused attack, and
Mhm.
Kaiju was at a disadvantage, you'll be able to swim down and kind of dodge most of it. So you can respond here. You can swim up and do something.
That took me a little off guard. I didn't know he had radioactive breath. So I am very upset. I don't have my boat anymore. I am going to tough call. It's a tough call how extreme I'm going to be here. What round are we in?
This is like we're still in the second round.
Oh, we are. Well, this will be third. So then I guess I'm going to go for the stone cold stare. So I'm going to roll for that because I'd really like to maybe slow this guy down a little bit.
Can you give
Figure
us
out what I'm
your stone cold stare into the camera?
the weakest. This is my stare right now. That's how bad it is. I can't even. I'm like, what? I got salt in my eye. I got a 1. Got a 1. I can't
Oh
even.
no.
So
I
terrible.
mean, generally when we roll a 1, like when Godzilla rolled a 1,
I know.
Godzilla injured and lost a round. So I feel like that needs to bounce back on you a little bit. Like
Yeah.
you maybe saw your reflection in the water and it stoned you partially. I mean, do you think
A
it would
little.
stone? Like, are you paralyzed or what?
I mean,
Maybe you're.
maybe I just get like a Charlie horse or something.
Well, I was going to say maybe some of the snakes in your head turn to stone potentially.
Okay, that's hurtful.
So,
Those are my babies. Those are my little babies. Okay.
so like a
Yeah.
few of them were like 4 snakes that go.
Yep. I lost some snakes.
Suddenly, you've got this like rock snake sculpture on your head, it's part of your head.
Mm,
All right. Well, Godzilla is losing another point from the poison, so down to 9. I think he's just going to try and get rid of you. So he's going to do his like can leg kick here to just try and kick you away. He got a 3, so I think it's going to be, fairly so. Like one of his legs, he turns around, one of his legs grows out and kind of comes under you, goes. It's not a super strong kick. You take a couple points of damage, I think, from the impact. You go flying like maybe, I think 40 meters away. Like, but you're far away now, and I think you could maybe do one more thing potentially, but your boat is also sinking. The crew is there. So I'll give you one more chance to do something, but it's going to take you probably the whole round just to swim back towards Godzilla unless you do something.
I'm gonna use my big power because
Yeah, I was going to say,
I don't need
yeah.
to be over there. So I'm gonna do the bloodletting.
Would you have to cut yourself? How does that work?
Yeah, but I don't I'm just gonna have one of my snakes bite my arm because I don't have any.
Oh,
So I have one of my little buddies right here, bud, right here.
like, I
I'm
don't
used to
want to do it, Mama.
No,
Hey,
please
Mama.
don't, yeah.
And then you're like
So
pulling back its fangs, it's like
two
feeding it
fangs,
medicine
yeah,
to a
and I'm like,
dog.
and so the blood is now dripping down my arm, and
Okay.
it drips into the sea, and the sea starts to boil a little bit.
Wait, you
And
got to do a roll, right?
I know. All right, it's boiling. I'm gonna do a roll. See what? Oh, you're so dead. I got a 6, and so
Oh, no.
it really starts boiling. The bubbles are going crazy. And what a lot
Oh.
of people don't know about this kaiju is that he absolutely nothing scares the kaiju more is when he's swimming through the ocean and he comes along a big giant patch of seaweed. It's like the worst. It just gives him the ick. He's creeped out. He doesn't know what's in it. So the blood is going down and swirling amongst the seaweed that is like lingering way through the ocean, and all this seaweed is coming toward it, and it's starting to form together, and it's coming out of the ocean like a giant, beanstalk, really. And it's forming into what like a two-headed amphibious creature, seaweed snake kind of creature.
Oh my
And
God.
and it's easily as tall as the kaiju, and it's hovering over him, and he is a little terrified because it's seaweed, and it just reaches, it lets one little strand like touch his skin, and he just freaks out.
I like that it's got maybe octopus style tentacles where,
Yeah.
like Cthulhu
It's
tentacles
like
where
kind of
it's like
petting it.
seaweed
Yeah.
thingies sticking to you because it's so gross. That's awesome. Well, yeah, Godzilla kaiju hates that and is literally going to like dog whimper, I think, go back under the water and swim away off into the distance, probably never to return to the Mediterranean Sea again. Like,
That's
I
right.
think this is a new area for them to check out and was like, forget this place. Like, this is
Mhm.
horrible. I can't believe it. I mean, Medusa clocked this kaiju's behind.
It's centuries of female rage, just pent up, ready to be used in a cute way with the seaweed.
And now you've got this giant seaweed kaiju
Yes.
in the Mediterranean. So you
And I
can
wanna
invite
see
your
if
crew
he
onto
can
that
can
thing.
he
Maybe it's like a dragon rider situation.
maybe, because that would be really cool, actually. But first, he's gotta save my crew and my ship, so do I have to roll for that, or can he just lift that out of the yeah.
I mean, you could do a roll. Let's see if anything fun happens.
So I kinda direct him with my mind to go help the ship get it to safety.
Sure, sure.
And it's a 1, so it's a little concerning.
So it's not the smartest creature I think you created from your seaweed fang blood. I think it goes over to help, kind of like a big lumbering dog, and it's like, "Oh, to help," and it like rolls the boat, like the yacht rolls upside down, and so
Oh, no.
all the sailors are kind of screaming and like they're in the water now, trying to swim to safety. I don't think any of them are going to die,
No, the orcas will help him, I'm sure, right? Orca-infested water, they'll be fine.
but I think the yacht is done for. I think the
Yeah, the
yacht
yacht's done.
sinks, and they're all kind of splashing around. So I think you could probably. It just wasn't a suave rescue. I think this
No,
thing needs
that
a little
he's
training.
got him wrapped up in seaweed. We'll take him to shore.
They're all like, "Oh God, just let me die instead." It's
I'm just
touching
so
me.
glad that there's something more, more hideous than me in a good way. Okay, so then, yeah. So I think I won that one. Yeah, that was exciting.
Also, I mean, this is what I mean when we do the dice. Once the dice get involved,
Yeah.
this just goes at the last place you would expect. So
I
it's
didn't
super fun.
think I would win that one, so that was a surprise. I thought we might team up, but I was glad we didn't. I think it was a little bit better if we had a fight than if we had teamed
I
up.
think it's
We didn't
hard
have
with
anything to
kaiju because
Yeah,
what are you gonna like? How are you gonna, you can't
for
really
sure.
reason with them. You can't really offer them anything. I mean, maybe if you had like their egg or something, you could negotiate. But I think this thing was just out looking for lunch.
Yeah, when you can't, like, do anything about it. And so at this point, I mean, would you have liked to have happen differently, Matt? Or did we not get to do something that you were really looking forward to doing?
I mean, maybe I should have stepped on a couple more people. That's a classic
It's
kaiju
hard to step
thing.
on them when you would have had to take out my whole ship though.
Yeah, yeah,
And then
yeah.
I would have been really mad.
And I was trying to do a sweet, dive out of the ocean, land on the ship move, but I beefed it. I rolled a 1. So
That's the hard part right there.
yeah. So that's been generally how an episode kind of works. We do a pretty short wrap up, kind of talk about what else would you have done.
And then we have a website, monstervmonster.com, and you can find all of the links. Usually at the end of our show, we kind of let the other, we'll ask the guest what have they got going on. So Matt, what have you got going on right now that people, other than Monster v Monster, that people should be checking out?
Nothing. It's very boring. No. As I was saying earlier, I did just put out a book, a dystopian detective novel set in Los Angeles called Ashland. So that would be cool if I know a lot of people are kind of checking it out right now. The thing I feel like people always forget about is if like you could take a minute to leave a review, it's so amazing for us as creators, right? I feel so often like you make stuff, you put it out into the world, and it often feels like you're shouting into a well. Like, is anybody seeing this? Is anyone responding to it? And so any kind of feedback is awesome for us.
For sure.
So just seeing a couple people post pictures of like, I got the book in the mail, like it's so amazing. So that would be amazing for people to kind of check that stuff
And
out.
that's even something I forget to do sometimes. And then I'll be like, I need to sit down today and review my people's books that I've read. Cause you just get busy and you get on to the next thing and you forget to do it. And, for me, what I've got going on today, as I already mentioned, is The Killing Stone is now, Mary Shelley's School for Monsters. The Killing Stone is now available on most digital platforms.
And you should say Nebula nominated.
Oh, yes, the
graphic
Nebula
novel.
nominated. Thank you, Matt. And also, your book is a Forward Indies nominated book. So,
Time Travel for Beginners.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Time Traveler for Beginners. I just gave you an award for next year. Time Traveler for Beginners
Good.
is this other book that came out last year, and I love it. So that's nominated for a Forward Indies. And as we said, you can find us at monstervmonster.com. All right, thank you, everyone. Bye.
All right. Thanks for coming.
Monster v. Monster is produced by Wicked Tree Press and Codex Arcanum Press.